Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to show you an exhibition and talk about challenges watercolor artists face. In the last video, I shared with you how I came across an 86-year-old master painter in the first exhibition. If you haven't seen that, make sure you check it out. And today I have visited the second of the 3 exhibitions at Yanhuang Art Museum. And the topic of this exhibition is bird and flower paintings. Just like the previous exhibition, landscape paintings, is named after the subject matter. Normally, this subject include a variety of things such as plants, birds, flying insects, and small domestic animals. Sometimes it can also merge with another subject, that is fish and insects, 鱼虫. I know it sounds kind of confusing why fish and insects are different from flying insects, but it's like this. But usually it won't merge with wild animals, especially wild quadrupedal animals. I don't want to get into the detail, it will just get worse. So in general, birds and flowers, those kind of paintings are very peaceful, soft, relaxing, pleasant, and they're not dramatic or political or striking in any ways. And similar to the West, we consider flowers as symbols of fertility and prosperity. And this type of paintings make perfect gifts for women and girls. I know it's such a cliche and stereotype, but here comes our first problem. Historically, women were considered as inferior to men, and therefore when a painting that was kind of considered for women, made for women, associated with women, it would be considered petty. I can't find any other words for it, but I guess petty it is. Flowers and cute domestic animals are common subjects found in Western watercolor paintings as well. I wonder if they also receive such bias. Let me know in the comment below. Just like shanshui landscape paintings, bird and flower paintings is a niche, not a technique, and there are so many different techniques within this niche. Here I will name a few: 白描, 工笔, and 写意. Drawing a plain, simple line, that is 白描, filling a meticulous outline, that is 工笔, making a freehand brush work very wild, that is 写意. No matter which technique you use, you might run into a slight problem. Bird and flower paintings are usually smaller in size. If the subject is tiny, you cannot really blow it up out of proportions. Imagine a painting of a small, tiny insect painted as large as your table. Would you be able to really appreciate that? It would look really goofy. Size does matter here, and in most cases, smaller paintings would not be presented as centerpieces of an exhibition or home decoration for the lack of volume. Western watercolor paintings also face the same size problem. Artists tend to paint small because they couldn't paint larger, because the paper dries very fast. Any attempts to rework after it's too late, after it's already dry, would result in unpleasant, muddy looks, so you wouldn't want to do that. So a lot of artists are constrained by this, and this is our second problem. In this exhibition, I saw a secret room behind a half-closed door, and this section was not open in the previous exhibition, so I was a little skeptical at first, and because it looked improvised. But when I had a closer look, I was thrilled to have found this artist, Song Qinjin, or Qinjin Song, a female artist from Xi'an. You can see that those artworks almost look like Western watercolor paintings with a Chinese touch, or vice versa. I looked into her biography because it's the first time I saw such technique, such style, so I wanted to know more about this, and I found out that she used to work as a household textile designer in the beginning of her career, and she told in the interview that her style was called vintage small 写意, 模古小写意. something I have never heard of, to be honest. And this art style is between 工笔 and 写意. Compared to a typical 写意, it's focusing on shape instead of emotions, and also it uses more ink than water, so the pigments are a lot more concentrated. Photorealistic style and vivid coloring made 小写意 very similar to Western watercolor paintings. Just to clarify one thing, it's a coincidence, not an imitation. But I admit that I could barely tell the difference because they're very similar. You can see that it's hard for watercolor artists in the age of globalization to find a strong visual identity, to stand out and get recognized. So this is our third problem. Western watercolor artists also face very different challenges, but challenges as well. Historically, watercolor paintings were not taken seriously in the West. American artists in the early 19th century seemed to regard watercolor primarily as a sketching tool in preparation for the finished work in oil or engraving. In Europe, watercolor was less popular because of fading rapidly when being exposed to sunlight, and this caused a sharp decline in its status and market value. So this historic burden is our problem number 4. Due to all of these reasons mentioned above and not mentioned above, bird and flower watercolor paintings tend to have less market value in general. However, don't feel discouraged. I want to point out a few good things because I see some opportunities here. Since the 10th century, flowers have been painted onto clay pots, porcelain plates, wood blocks, and fans, especially folding fans. In this exhibition, you'll find several pieces painted on folding fans, and this type of works make perfect gifts for small spaces, and they're also perfect for merchandising because you can easily transfer those patterns onto objects and products. And ask a friend, would you rather sleep under a duet of an oil painting prints or watercolor painting prints? I think they would choose a watercolor 9 out of the 10. And they're also very easy to carry because they are smaller, they're affordable, they're suitable for all ages and all occasions. And today, thanks to better preservation methods and digitization technology like the iPhone in your pocket, there is not a better time to make watercolor art than any other time in history. On Google Trends, I see a revival of watercolor paintings. On Etsy, I found over 250,000 watercolor paintings on sale. So the market is definitely there. And the real challenge is for the artists. How can you blend different techniques, merge different styles, form a strong visual identity to stand out, push back the boundaries, and fight the prejudice? Are you a watercolor artist? What problems do you face when selling your art? Please share with me, let me know in the comment below. Thank you very much for your time. That's all for today. See you in the next video.